Kipple Eyes.
Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. I can only trust that I exist. All else is perceived. If I can't trust my own perception, I am truly mad. I think, but my thoughts are not my own. They think, therefore I am not. There is a hive. There is always a hive. Clawing at us like a wildfire. Today, we send a knight. OVERWHELM is a compact, Permadeath-featured Metroidvania, developed by Ruario Sullivan and published by Alliance for Windows, Mac, and the Nintendo Switch for $9.99. It features 5 zones, each capped by a boss fight, of which you may tackle in any order you see fit. As the knight, you are equipped with only 2 weapons, your gun and your fists. And your wits.
There are 3 weapons!
3 weapons, your gun, your fists, and your wits.
4 weapons!
We'll get to that one later. We begin by descending from this unknown planet's surface into a deep pit. Before us sit 5 empty tanks. Our goal, quite simply, is to return crystals to fill each tank, powering the core, which, if destroyed while active, will trigger complete destruction of the hive. The hive sits largely in silence, only occasionally pierced by the creaks of old air vents, clatter of metal on metal, heavy drifts of wind. Is that your own footsteps, or something creeping through the tall grass? Then the screech of a leaping parasite, repeated cracks of gunshot, and ultimately, silence once more. So we set off into the cavernous complex and... Okay, yeah, wow, this game's got hands. Here's your first lesson. The hive is deadly. One touch is enough to kill, and occasionally OVERWHELM doesn't mind hitting you with some admittedly cheap surprises when you walk into a corridor, only to be pounced on in less than a second. Needless to say, a little bit of blind cautionary fire goes a long way. Thankfully, you get 3 lives before your game is over, and each time you retrieve a crystal or deliver it back to the hub, your lives are reset. By the same hand, though, death only becomes easier with each mistake. On your first demise, the corners of your screen buzz with a skittering tunnel vision effect, partially obscuring the way ahead and putting you in a state of unease. Not too bad, but fail again, and the effect is pronounced, creeping deeper inwards, obscuring even further, and adding a static moan as a constant reminder that this is your last chance. The negative feedback of death is perhaps one of OVERWHELM's truest features to its namesake. In the hive, you are alone, even in co-op. Surrounded and hunted by enemies that number far greater than you. The tangible effects of failure serve to represent your sanity slipping until all hope is lost. There are precious few games that I feel achieve an effective representation of madness. The discomfort, paranoia, and gradual onset thereof. OVERWHELM isn't focused purely on being a horror game, but in its best moments it succeeds tremendously.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Inspired in the same vein as the quiet, creeping parts of James Cameron's Aliens, even your dwindling ammo count is part of the tension. In the darkness, blind fire can light obscured pathways and reveal hidden threats. Bullets are a resource, and you'd believe 99 is a pretty good count in a game where most enemies go down in 1 to 3 shots. But use them too carelessly, and you'll be left to fend for yourself until you find another ammo cache. I haven't touched on OVERWHELM's most devious feature yet, its use of the Virtual Boy's eye-straining color palette. I'm kidding. If you really don't like the palette, though, OVERWHELM also offers New Vegas Orange, Iodine Blue, and Game Boy Green flavors. I like green a lot personally, but red is the most striking and appropriate for the heavy atmosphere. It almost feels wrong to play it any other way, but if your eyes need a break, Game Boy Green. Oh yeah. No, the real trick here is in how OVERWHELM amps up its challenge. Your typical Metroidvania empowers you with regular upgrades to make traversal and enemy suppression easier as you progress towards larger threats. Conversely, in Overwhelm, each boss you defeat adds its power to the Hive, mutating more terrorizing features on existing creatures or introducing new types to the mix, adding to the danger. From the opening seconds of the game, you know your full suite of abilities, but every time you succeed, the Hive tries harder to ensure your failure. Interestingly, part of the strategy then becomes finding your own optimal route through each area, trying to minimize risk by leaving mutations you know to be the most dangerous for last, while judging which areas and bosses you would rather tackle earlier or later, based on the challenge they present. Do you wait until the very end to plunge into the dark tunnels, or get it out of the way early? Is it wiser to fight the Kraken early since its mutation only affects the water in its own zone? There's objective benefits to different routes, but there's not a wrong path through the game, and none of them will prove easy. Madness is not limited to failure. With each boss defeated, not only does the Hive become more active, it begins breaking the rules. At first you might notice small details. Pausing will often spawn creatures that don't actually exist, mid-pounce and inches away to unnerve you upon your return to the game. Was that actually there? Boss fights will periodically black out, disengaging from the player and giving the boss another opportunity to get the jump on you. Later on, secured blast doors that separate the central hub as well as boss rooms, initially guaranteed to be free of enemy presence, break down. No place is truly safe now, and your quest to destroy the Hive is at its most harrowing. Then the Hive begins talking to you. In the midst of blackout screens, short phrases form. Die. Stop running. The Hive speaks from within your own mind. Has your time fighting against it corrupted you? Aligned your mind with its own? Its slow grip over your psyche is tightening, and the only escape is its absolute destruction. I have a confession to make before we broach ending spoilers. I technically haven't beaten Overwhelm yet. Not legitimately anyways. I've gotten close. Remember that fourth weapon?
4 weapons!
Well, for those who like their video games like they like a walk in the park, Permadeath may be a turnoff. This game is short and doesn't offer much post-victory replayability, but in retro fashion, it opts for intense difficulty to delay you as hard as it can from that sweet, sweet win. If you've been playing for hours to no avail though, Overwhelm offers an assist mode, granting anything from auto-aim assistance and map screen pausing to infinite ammo and lives. For the purposes of this review, I used assist mode to capture the following. I am an Overwhelm poser, but you know what? I owe you a legitimate win. Join me on twitch.tv/Quaddy of Kipple Eyes tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and watch Overwhelm trounce me until Overwhelm itself is trounced by me. Hell, I'll try to beat New Game Plus 2 if I'm crazy enough. And if the laws of linear chronological progression hinder your presence at this momentous occasion, I'll be uploading the VOD just for you, right here on the channel, friendo. Don't you worry, buddy. I'm a bona fide content creator now, pal.
Heck yeah.
It's 5 Guardians defeated. A formless mass chases you in a desperate frenzy back to the hub. Delivering the last crystal, your last goal is in sight. Core online. Destroy. We return to the underground, the leader of the Hive in tow, checking each corner, risking each step forward, anticipating potential doom. We blast the hard-won crystals and destroy the core, and its load-bearing countdown begins. We claw our way back up to the surface with seconds to spare. And the master of the Hive shows itself. In actuality, we've been fighting it all along. They are many, they are one. The Hive gives chase as we escape on horseback, blasting shots behind us and staying just ahead of its trampling form. We fight off twin lizards, bush spider, kraken, tunnel worm, and skullbat until nothing is left but the core it dragged within its body. The hive is nearly beaten, and in its final grasp for survival, it assumes the form of what it views as the apex predator. We give it no quarter. A final shot rings through the air, and the hive disperses, hopefully this time for good. This ending is chilling. For the duration of the game, we've assumed the role of a lone knight, battling for humanity against an alien threat. In these final moments, the creature views us as the ultimate threat. I'm not sure whether to be flattered or terrified. Man is the greatest monster. It's a bit of a cliche, but there's few cases as convincing as when the shapeshifter, of all its terrible forms, begins copying you. Though this epiphany takes seconds, as the credits roll, its implications cling to you. The idea of a shadow self is no stranger to video games. Fighting our inner demons equaled in skill or unrestrained by mercy can be one of the most engaging challenges a game can offer. In particular, I liken Overwhelm's final note to Metroid Prime's own series antagonist. After Samus defeats the Metroid Prime, it expands and thrashes tendrils wildly, grabbing and absorbing Samus's Phazon suit from her. While Samus escapes safely, in the aftermath of its destructive final attack, Prime is able to reshape itself a new husk from Samus's suit, and lives on as, in its view, the ultimate threat, and the only entity it couldn't kill. In fact, there's something about Overwhelm that continues to make me uneasy. Its text scroll is spoken by those who we were chosen by to battle the Hive. On a game over, our narrator informs us, we failed. But the Hive grows stronger in failure. We will send another and another, and grow stronger in turn. This element of likening oneself to the Hive, to adapt through failure, to sacrifice for the greater good, our own kin seem enamored by this Hive mentality. The message can be read with resoluteness, dedication to the cause. But for an arcade game with a simple premise, even small details as this don't inspire me with confidence as much as fear. The Hive is unquestionably a threat, but how different is humanity itself? Have we already fallen to our own kind of madness? Whoa, that got kinda heavy. Rest assured, I'm not touching that particular Hive anytime soon. Anyways, that's Overwhelm. It's not your typical Metroidvania, but I think it stands out for its truly effective atmosphere and how its brutal, stressful mechanical depth adds to a low-fidelity kind of horror experience. I hope you'll give it a try. What am I gonna review next? What am I gonna review next? Oh, you want to know what I'm working on next? You might be wondering what I'm planning on reviewing next. Well, you might be wondering what I'm planning. You might be wondering what I'm planning on reviewing next. Well, review next.
Can you see any structures on the planet?
It's all one big structure. Planet-wide, all the way to the core.
Heck yeah.